What is up, my friends, and welcome to another off-season edition of the USFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of USFL News Hub, your alt football media guru. On this month's show, the Memphis Showboats have returned. We've got behind-the-scenes action. We've got so much stuff. We'll get into the Memphis Showboats returning to the USFL, which was speculated last month. This month it came in, so goodbye to my Tampa Bay Bandits. Also, how the XFL draft has impacted the USFL players. We'll touch on that. Plus, we got some great stuff going on for next month. So how do you be part of the show? It's really simple. You just email podcast at USFL News Hub with your thoughts, record an MP3 or video leave it on your phone, play it on next week's show, leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 5. Also, if you want a link, we can provide you a link so you can upload your just email us at podcast at USFL News Hub, and you can upload your calls every week if you'd like to be a regular caller. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible Player FM, Spotify. Those are the two main ones. We are everywhere on the social media stuff. So big news, of course, is returning the Memphis Showboats, and I guess this means that Memphis Showboats is now my team. I think so. I think that's what it's going to be. I think Memphis Showboats is going to be my team. I like the new logo, so I'm excited about Todd Haley moving the team over there. We'll get into all that stuff. We've got a new general manager added to the New Orleans Breakers, plus some other tidbits were going on the past month. But there is more news coming from the USFL, including we also have when the kickoff happens in April. So we'll get into all that stuff, plus a little bit of your social media at the end. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the month that was the USFL.
Everybody doing today? Are y'all ready for some fun today? Alrighty, you had some good refreshments and everything, and everybody, not liquor, everybody, I know that it may be a little early in the morning for that, but we're here to definitely enjoy ourselves. I'm Jarvis Greer, sports director at WMC Action News 5, and I want to welcome everybody here to Simmons Bank at Liberty Stadium for this truly, truly great announcement in Memphis sports history. You know, as a Memphis native and a former Tiger football player, I used to play here at it was the Liberty Bowl back then, or Memphis Memorial Stadium back then. Now it's Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I just want to say that I'm a general all-around sports fanatic, and I've been following sports my whole life. It has been my life, and what we're about to have today is just another great step in my personal enjoyment. I think for all of you as well. Today's announcement is about the United States Football League, the USFL, being led here by the City of Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland. This is just a tremendous thing. And in addition to the mayor, it's also great to see all the members of the city council, county commission, and all the great dignitaries we have that have come out for this announcement today. There's so many of you here that, I really can't take the time individually to call you out and recognize you, but I just want to say thank you to all the community leaders that have come together and make this day possible. Now, to start, let me first introduce our first speaker for today. A lot of you may remember him as a hard-hitting fullback for the Dallas Cowboys. He's now one of the big brass with the United States Football League. He's Daryl Moose Johnston, the USFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations. Moose, come on up.
Thank you, Jarvis. Good morning, everyone. Well, we're home. The USFL is proud to make history today by announcing that the iconic Showboats will come home to Memphis in 2023. The USFL is appreciative of the tremendous support and commitment from the City of Memphis, Mayor Jim Strickland, Fred Smith, and countless other community leaders here in the room today and around the region for bringing professional football back to the Bluff City. And for the first time, here is your new Memphis Showboats logo. When the USFL started our inaugural season this past April, we said our mission was to celebrate football by building a fan-centric professional spring football league that would be successful beyond year one. Completing a remarkably successful inaugural season shows that the USFL is a stable and professional league run by people with football experience. In season one, we accomplished every goal we set. High quality, exciting, and competitive football, establishing a fan-friendly, affordable, and fun stadium experience, being a catalyst for the evolution of football through innovative rules, and achieving rating success that gave viewers unprecedented access to the best football production on television. We showed our fans, our players and coaches, our communities, and our public and corporate partners that the USFL is here to stay. Crowning a USFL champion in season one was a generational accomplishment because the USFL did something no one else could: complete a successful spring football season and return for season two. In fact, it's been nearly 40 years since a major professional spring football league has accomplished this feat. Because the USFL is an agile league that is fast and fearless to improve, we're able to take advantage of outstanding opportunities, which is what brings us to Memphis today. The USFL has come home to Memphis because fans here share our passion to celebrate football as much as we do. Memphis has a deep history as a terrific sports region, to include the iconic 1980 Showboats that started the legendary career of Pro Football Hall of Famer Reggie White. Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled to have one of Reggie's teammates here with us today, legendary Ole Miss quarterback John Forcade. We had the pleasure of having John with us at dinner last night. He is a fantastic storyteller. If you want to be able to talk to somebody who has lived football history, the stories he shared with us last night were just so entertaining. It was outstanding. John made history as part of that 1985 Showboats team right here at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And now we're ready to rewrite an exciting new chapter led by Showboats head coach Todd Haley and quarterback Brady White. In June, the USFL announced that our 8-team league would expand across the additional markets in 2023. We're keeping that commitment by making our first expansion here in Memphis. We know Memphis fans have seen other football leagues come and go, but the USFL has already proven that we have staying power. Being here today to make this announcement is proof of that long-term commitment to professional football fans. We're proud to announce that the Memphis Showboats inaugural game will kick off on Sunday, April 16th, 2023, right here at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Fans can You don't have to wait. Fans can go to the USFL.com right now to find information on purchasing your tickets. This game-changing Showboats homecoming has real economic impact for Memphis, as the whole country will tune in through our NBC Sports and Fox Sports media partners. The city of Memphis will also host the Houston Gamblers during the 2023 season. So the Gamblers and the Showboats are going to be here in Memphis together, and that's how a great rivalry starts. So we're hoping that that pairing will be something that will be fun for us moving forward in the Southern Division of the USFL. With that set up, I'd like to direct your attention to the monitors to watch a special video that helps capture this historic moment.
Memphis, the birthplace of rock and roll, the home of the blues. From the banks of the Mississippi to that glow of Beale Street, everything about our city is rooted in history. Now it's time to write the next chapter. In 2023, the USFL is coming home to Memphis. The league that's already made history and captured the nation's attention is bringing pro football back to the Bluff. This is a game changer. It means real economic impact and a commitment to our city. It means the whole country watching us do what we do best, from the tailgates to the turnstiles, serving up Southern hospitality with a side of grit. Boom! It means it's time we do some showboat. Woo! All right, here we go. This spring, the Memphis Showboats will return to rock the USFL. It's a touchdown! Once again, in a nation united by football.
How about that, huh? That, I tell you what, that not only did that make me excited for football, it actually made me hungry. I mean, hungry. I want to get some of those ribs. Anyway, we want to say, direct your attention to all the screens in here. Like the screen says, don't miss being a part of history. Sunday, April 16th. Fans can pre-register today for 2023 Memphis Showboats tickets by visiting theusfl.com or via Ticketmaster. That's theusfl.com or via Ticketmaster. Now, I'd like now to invite our next speaker to the podium. He is Brian Woods, USFL President of Football Operations. Brian, come on up.
Thank you, Jarvis. Good morning, everyone. Seeing that video, definitely know now the Memphis Showboats are finally back. We take great pride in servicing our community where we play our games. And as we proved last year in Birmingham, not only will we have a major economic impact on the city, but we also elevate our communities through positive outreach. One example of that was training camp last year. We had hundreds of local youth take part in clinics. We had our players go to local elementary schools, and we were very active in the boys and girls community. These sort of community initiatives really help us weave the USFL into the fabric of the surrounding community, and we look forward to doing something very similar here in Memphis, if not more so. About 6 months ago, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, taking in one of our games, and I got a phone call from someone that most of you in this room are intimately familiar with. He kept it very brief. He said, you've got a great product, and how can I get the USFL to the great city of Memphis? That gentleman is here today. It's Fred Smith. I hung up, and within 30 seconds, I called Eric Shanks, the CEO of Fox Sports, and I said, we need to get to Memphis as quickly as possible. And I would be remiss not to mention Fred, his involvement. I consider him a personal friend. I've known him now for 10 years. He's always very active in the community. I know he's done a lot for people here. I know the commercial appeal at one point said he's brought more visibility to the city of Memphis since Elvis, and that is considerable. So I just wanted to highlight Fred Smith specifically, because if it wasn't for his support and his vision to help bring the Showboats back to Memphis, we wouldn't be here today. So I think he deserves a round of applause. I would ask him to come up and have a few remarks, but that's just not the person that he is. So if we can just give him one more round of applause. So.
All righty. Yeah, Fred sitting right there. We appreciate everything you do. Of course, I call it FredX because, if it wasn't for Fred Smith, there would be no FedEx. And if it wasn't for FedEx, goodness gracious, where would we be as a city and as a region? We appreciate everything that you do for the city and your great company. John Forcade, I'm still mad at you because you beat my Tigers twice. But, you did a great job. You were one of the best quarterbacks that played professionally in this league back in the day, and really appreciate you being here as well. Now, as we move on here, it's my honor now to bring up the mayor, the honorable mayor of the city of Memphis, Jim Strickland. Mayor.
Thank you, Jarvis, and welcome home, Showboats. I've been going to sporting events in Memphis for 45 years, and some of the best and most fun experiences were Memphis Showboats games. The atmosphere was joyful, the spring weather was beautiful, there was quality football, and it was an overall great atmosphere. So when Fred Smith called me a couple months ago and introduced me and my team to the USFL, I was extraordinarily excited at the prospect of bringing the Showboats back to Memphis. So I want to thank the USFL, Fox Sports, Fred Smith, and the city team of Doug McGowan, Dan Springer, Allison Fauché, Jennifer Sink, Nick Walker, and Thomas Carrier for making this happen and doing so very quickly. Through this process, I have learned that this league is the real deal. As was stated earlier, this is the first spring league who's had a second season following the first season. And let me tell you three things I've learned. Number one, the USFL has the resources and a plan to make this league a long-term success. They will grow this league and its popularity, and it will rank favorably with other established spring sports in just a matter of a few years. Two, we have blue chip broadcast partners, Fox Sports and NBC. Football is part of their DNA. They have excellent broadcasts for NFL and college, and they're bringing that to Memphis here with the Showboats. And third, this league is truly family friendly and affordable. And I think that's going to resonate with the Memphis community. So we're excited to have the USFL back in Memphis and in Tennessee. And I want to thank some others in this crowd who are here to share in this excitement. First, Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton. Thank you for being here. Our Memphis City Council, all of whom are here. You raise your hands, please. The Greater Memphis Chamber, led by Beverly Robertson. Thank you. Memphis Tourism, led by Kevin Kane. And this community at large. I think the USFL knows how excited we are. So thank you all for being here. The fun starts April 16. Order your tickets now. Let's go Boats.
Well said, Mayor. I remember when the original Showboats were here, they used to call the fans the boat people. And I imagine that that's one thing. Of course, it'll have to happen, virally. It's going to be a gut thing, but I think that might be one thing that would stick. It's just so great having, the support of all the city council and all the county commission and everyone else that made this dream come true. Also, the games will be on NBC, by the way. So, I got our general managers here, and, I would not be able to put my key in the lock and get in the building if I didn't mention that. But you may have seen the games last spring when they were on, and we watched a lot of the games. They're actually fun. So this is really going to be some fun football. It's real football. It's not gimmicky. They're not changing up a whole bunch of rules and all that stuff. So this is definitely a good product that you'll want to see. And the one that's going to be in charge of the Memphis product, the Memphis Showboats, is the head coach of the Showboats, and he joins us right now. Todd Haley. Todd, come on in.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I can't start this conversation without mentioning Reggie White. I legitimately have a Memphis Showboat Reggie White football card. Now, finding it is going to be the issue right now. But legendary, one of the greats of all time, and hopefully one of the future greats, Showboats. I want to recognize Brady White. Stand up, say hello, everybody. Most everyone know him. Last year at about this time, Moose Johnson called me. I was sitting down in Florida, and he brought up this USFL thing to me. And I started to get a little excited. And we talked, and there was a lot of moving parts. Then I talked to Brian, went through a lot of conversation, and there were moving parts. But I will say what I am most excited about, other than being in Memphis, being the home team most of the time, which is really exciting. And I know you all have great fans. The Grizzlies, I watch this stuff. I watch the Tigers. Great, passionate football fans. But what I was most excited about is just these guys, the work they did to make that first year go. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in football. I mean, the passion of these players trying to continue their dream I cannot tell you, having stood in front of a lot of football players, the big eyes, paying attention, anything you asked them to do, they were, I mean, it was so much fun. And what was even more exciting than that is now this year, you know, I get the call that we're getting to go to Memphis. So there's three things I really like. I like good football. I like coaching good football. I like food. And I like music. I don't know. So I'm really excited about this. I mean, truly, this is going to be exciting times. This is a resilient, tough town. We're going to be a resilient, tough team. We're going to get after people. And my plan is to bring a championship to Memphis with the Showboats. I think that would be a nice start to this year. Thank you again all for coming out. I'd like to bring up to the stage Mayor Strickland and Fred Smith, please, if you come up. Am I allowed to ask? And thank you, Fred.
This is your photo op right now if you want to get it. All right, first thing, I want to get one of those hats, you know, if I could. Since we're up here doing this, we get a hat, right? I think, and a T-shirt would be nice too, but you know, we can only ask. Anyway, this concludes our announcement today of the USFL, the United States Football League, returning to Memphis with the Memphis Showboats. Oh, you know what? One thing I learned, one thing my mama always told me, if you don't ask, you don't get. Well, I asked, and dadgummit, I got. What do you think about the logo, huh? How about that? All right. Everybody, we really appreciate you all being here. And once again, the Showboats kick off their inaugural season in Memphis, the new Showboats, on Sunday, April 16th, right here at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And fans, you can secure a place in history, your spot, right here, with priority access to Memphis Showboats football by scanning the QR code or going to theusfl.com. That's theusfl.com or Ticketmaster to make sure you get a ticket deposit. Now, guests are invited to enjoy coffee and take pictures and mingle with all the celebrities and dignitaries we have here. This concludes our broadcast and our announcement. And go Memphis Showboats!
Hey everyone, I'm Coach Todd Haley, the head coach of the Memphis Showboats. Really excited to bring the USFL back to Memphis. Excited about the passion you all are going to bring to our team, and we're planning on finding a way to win a championship this year. Turn it over to Brady White.
What's up, Memphis fans? It's my honor and very special to be home to bring back the Memphis Showboats to you guys. I'm very honored and privileged to be your quarterback, and look forward to seeing you all in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium April 16th. Hey Memphis fans, this is Brady White coming to you after the big revealing of the Memphis Showboats coming back to the USFL and to this beautiful city. I just wanted to send a special message to you guys and let you guys know how awesome you guys are, just as a fan base and as a community. And the USFL and myself are extremely excited and extremely proud to be bringing back this team to this amazing place. We are very excited to continue to get the ball rolling and to have a team to perform in front of you guys in this beautiful stadium that is so near and dear to my heart. I hope everyone's doing well. God bless you all, and look forward to seeing you in the near future. Go Showboats.
The Memphis Showboats are returning to the USFL. So the USFL and city leaders announced today that the iconic Memphis Showboats have come home to Bluff City. Officials reached an agreement with the Memphis Showboats to play the USFL 2023 season at historic Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, home of the 1980s team that featured Pro Football Hall of Famer Reggie White. The USFL announced the inaugural game will kick off on Sunday, April 16th. Fans can secure a place in history and lock up in priority access to Memphis Showboats games by visiting Ticketmaster and making a $25 deposit. So now, officially, Birmingham and Memphis are two hub cities, with the rumored Detroit being the next one, but that has not been officially announced yet. Quote, "We're home," says Daryl Johnston, USFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations. The Showboats return to Memphis for the 2023 season. The USFL is appreciative of the tremendous support and commitment from the city of Memphis, Mayor Jim Strickland, the countless other community leaders for bringing professional football back to Bluff City. The USFL also unveiled a new Memphis logo, which looks really cool. I'm going to have to figure out now because I'm a Tampa. Well, we'll get into that, the Bandits, in a second. But check out the logo. It looks really nice. It's a really nice logo. I approve. Also, I could not be happier to bring the Showboats back to Memphis, said Mayor Jim Strickland. I have so many fond memories of going to USFL games. The atmosphere was amazing. The spring weather was beautiful. There was quality football, and it was overall a great experience. I know this time will be no different, and I cannot wait to go to the first game on April 16th, close quote. Brian Woods, USFL President of Football Operations, noted the significant role that FedEx Corporation founder Fred Smith has had in the Showboats returning to Memphis. Quote, "The USFL is committed to building a strong partnership with Memphis community leaders, and we can't thank Fred Smith enough for his personal support and vision to make today's historic announcement possible," Woods said. Thanks to this legendary entrepreneur who is a prominent fixture in the community, the USFL and Memphis Showboats have come home to stay. So during the press conference, Brian Woods had mentioned that Fred Smith had reached out to him and basically was like, hey, I want to have the Memphis Showboats return to Memphis. So that's when Fred Smith calls you, you take the phone call, and that's what he wants to do. The guy who started FedEx, then you just go from there. By balancing agility to take advantage of opportunity and ambitious vision and fiscal discipline, the USFL is the first major professional spring football league in nearly 40 years to compete a successful inaugural season and in return for season 2. 100%, that is accurate. During the USFL's 10-week season in 2022, all 8 teams were hosted by the city of Birmingham, Alabama. In June, it was announced that the Professional Springs Football League would expand across additional markets for the 2023 season, as USFL incrementally locates teams in their own markets until all are eventually playing in front of hometown fans. Quote, "The USFL keeps our long-term commitment to fans and partners. We're proud to make our first market expansion to Memphis, an original 1980s USFL city with a deep history as a terrific sports region," said Johnston. "The USFL has come home to Memphis because fans here share our passion to celebrate football as much as we do. This is a game-changing homecoming with real economic impact. The city of Memphis will also host the Houston Gamblers during the 2023 season." So the Gamblers are now out of Birmingham and now in Houston. Or not in Houston, but in the city of Memphis. The Gamblers and Showboats in Memphis together. Sounds like we have a real rivalry brewing. Memphis Showboats head coach Todd Haley, formerly of the Tampa Bay Bandits, you get where this is going, and Houston Gamblers head coach Kevin Sumlin will bring their teams to Memphis in March for the start of training camp. The USFL season kickoff weekend on April 15th and 16th will start a 10-week regular season, followed by 2-week playoffs. Quote, "Competing in a remarkably successful inaugural season and preparing for a second season shows the USFL is a stable and professional league run by people with professional experience," Johnson concluded. "In 2022, we accomplished every goal we set: high quality, exciting, and competitive football, established a fan-friendly, affordable, and fun stadium experience, being a catalyst for the evolution of football through innovative rules, and achieving ratings success that gave viewers unprecedented access and the best football production on television. We showed our fans, our players and coaches, our communities, and our public and corporate partners that the USFL is here to stay." Close quote. Now, of course, this means that the Tampa Bay Bandits, my Tampa Bay Bandits, are no longer But for now, they could return at a future time. We don't know how that all is going to shake out. But at least for the foreseeable next couple of years, there will be no Bandits. Also, the Memphis team are a rebrand of the Tampa Bay Bandits, not an expansion team. They will inherit the Bandits roster. Also, during the event, the team announced former Memphis Tigers Brady White as their quarterback, and no word on the status of what the status is of Jordan Ta'amu. Did he move on to another team? Is he not part of the league? We'll just have to kind of wait and find out how that all shakes out. So, Memphis, congratulations. You've got an expansion team. Your Showboats have returned, playing at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Also, your Houston Gamblers, if you're a Houston fan, you can go to Memphis to check out your team there as well. We like the new logo, and exciting times ahead for the USFL. So it has been confirmed that the Breakers will join the Stallions in Birmingham for the USFL season in 2023. So lost in the excitement of the season ticket announcement of the USFL World Champion Birmingham Stallions is the situation with the hub setting of the 2023 USFL season. It's been reported that the league would expand to 3 hubs instead of 1. And from the press release, we got some more detail. After all 8 teams completed in Birmingham during the 2022 season, the league announced in June that it will be expanding across additional markets in 2023. While the USFL will announce more details at a later date, City League officials confirmed that Birmingham will host the New Orleans Breakers and new head coach Don DeFilippo during the 2023 season. So the Birmingham Stallions and New Orleans Breakers will play their 2023 season in Birmingham. The question is, where does the other teams play? You see what's going on here? So there's the rumor, we've got Memphis is now on board, and Memphis will have its team there. And then you have Detroit is the rumored of the other location. But as the league said in its press release, we won't have anything official until a later date. Quote, the USFL will announce more details at a later date. So we know that 2 teams will be playing in Birmingham, 2 teams will be playing in Memphis. The question is, who and where is the third hub city going to be? So the USFL and Birmingham Stallions announced April 15th as the kickoff to the 2023 season. So the USFL and Birmingham leaders announced that the 2022 champion Birmingham Stallions will kick off their title defense on Saturday, April 15th at Protective Stadium. Fans can lock in priority access to 2023 Stallions games by visiting Ticketmaster to make season tickets deposits of $25. After registering, fans will be in contact about seating preferences and package pricing. So now Birmingham Stallions fans can get your season tickets. Stallions head coach Skip Holtz and star running back Bo Scarborough were in Birmingham celebrating the team's championship, and they had a little meet and greet with fans with the USFL trophy, which was a lot of fun. They talk about just some things about the city. The city of Birmingham is honored to have played the home in the inaugural USFL season. Our community, this is from Mayor Randall Wolfen, our community has embraced Birmingham Stallions and rallied behind them as they won the USFL championship. We look forward to again partnering with other stakeholders to host the Stallions this spring as they defend their title. The USFL is the first major professional spring football league in nearly 40 years to complete a successful inaugural season in return for a second season. After all 8 teams competed in Birmingham during the 2022 season, the league announced in June that it will expand across additional markets in 2023. While the USFL will announce more details in the city, but we've got Birmingham will host the New Orleans Breakers and new head coach John DeFilippo during the 2023 season. So there will be 2 teams in Memphis, or 2 teams in Memphis, 2 teams in Birmingham, and 1 in another location, potentially in Detroit is the rumored place there. So it's something you want to keep in mind. We also have to keep in mind whether Skip Holtz actually returns. His name has been rumored to maybe some college coaching jobs out there. But some Birmingham Stallion fans, and maybe there's Birmingham fans that are New Orleans Breakers fans. I don't know. This is just strictly for Birmingham Stallions tickets. You can get your season tickets now. And the 2 big things is that there's going to be another hub area, a third one, and April 15th will kick off the 2023 USFL season. So the USFL has more than 18 former players drafted to the XFL, with potentially more to come. So the XFL draft has completed and has gone with USFL on the outside looking in, with 55 USFL players earning NFL contracts. The USFL was most likely hoping that those who were cut would be en route back to their former employer, the USFL, while the brass at Fox is more than happy to lose players to the NFL. Losing them to the XFL is not part of the plan. That's something they really wanted to do. So currently there are 21 USFL players that are on current NFL payrolls throughout the last 3 days. The USFL had 18 former players get drafted to the XFL team. So the only way these guys were able to get drafted is because they were picked up by an NFL team. They had to drop their contract with the USFL so that they could even try out for the NFL, which basically made them free agents. While the USFL had 3 of its players return to their teams, Tucker Addington on long snapper, Matt Coburn running back, and Devin Gray wide receiver. The USFL had hoped to retain players like Sal Cannella, Kyle Sloter, Canning Stribling in an effort to maximize name recognition, competition, and continuity for the league. Right now, there are 13 former USFL players currently as free agents, either waiting for an NFL to call or maybe be part of the XFL supplemental draft in January of 2023. So there's still guys that are missing from the list there. So the USFL saw 10 of its coaches also join the XFL teams. So it's inevitably only that players might defect as well. Not sure if there was a sigh of relief when, Coburn and Gray returned. The USFL was hoping more players would return as the NFL season concluded, and maybe the phone was as active for USFL alumni. So far, the USFL lost 5 members of their 2022 All-USFL team, in addition to several players with NFL experience. Well, some of these players were sure to leave due to ties to former coaches and XFL 2.0 teams. The departure surely hurts, but again, we don't know how this is all going to play out and if these players would actually return to the USFL. Even though they got drafted, we've already had one guy get drafted in the XFL and return to the USFL. This is by no means is this story over. Whether players are going to stay with the XFL or not, it's just something you have to keep an eye on. So some of the players, Doug Costin was signed by the Renegades, Sal Cannella, tight end, Kelling from the Breakers, Channing Stribling, cornerback for the Stars, Dejon Neal, DB for the Generals, Luis Perez, quarterback for the Generals, Kyle Sloter from the Breakers got picked up by the XFL, Rashard Davis from the Bandits, he got picked up, Garrett McGinn, offensive line for the Generals, Shakir Brown, cornerback from the Maulers, Devontae Busby, a cornerback from the Generals, Terrell Bonds, cornerback for the Maulers, Darius Shepard, wide receiver from the Generals, Quentin Meeks, cornerback with Bandits, Cameron Hunt, offensive line for the Stallions, Dexter Williams, running back from the Stars. However, he came back to the USFL. Jamison Houston, cornerback for the Panthers, DeAndre Torrey, running back Panthers, and Devin Hafford, cornerback Maulers. Those are some of the players. Now, even though there were 18 players who were signed to NFL contract that left the USFL, many former USFL players who were released midway through the USFL season. So Jeff Badette, Masas Bailey, Deshaun Dixon, and Michael Carazoa are just off the names that are some of the names that had USFL ties but are returning to the XFL or were drafted to the XFL. The most notable losses include Sal Cannella, Devontae Busby, Channing Stribling, Kyle Sloter, Luis Perez, Cameron Hunt, and Garrett McGinn. While every player coming back to the USFL was obviously the goal, thus their transition hurts losing 2 all-league offensive linemen. That is the bad part. More than any of these guys, Sloter, I mean, he kind of, Luis Perez was kind of a, he was, there was other guys playing instead of Luis Perez. I can't even think of the term right now off the top of my head. Kyle Sloter was an MVP in the beginning of the season, but then kind of tailed off, but still his team was really good. His coach left, so maybe that was why he wanted to kind of go. Sal Cannella was a great player too, and he's actually going to be playing with Sloter in the XFL. So, but losing the offensive lineman, that is the key here. That's the part that kind of hurts. But it's not a ton of players, and the USFL has been constantly adding new guys to the mix, and there is plenty of talent out there. Offensive linemen, yes, they're not out there. That's an issue. But as far as other players, there's still guys out there waiting for a chance. So it is not the end of the world. With Alt Football League often criticized for inconsistent QB play and line play, the loss of those 4 players could be hard to fill. But again, we have to wait and see, because there could be a chance that these guys try out for the XFL, maybe not going to get a starting spot for whatever reason, and they might come back to the USFL. Or who knows? We just have no. Another caveat to the XFL drafting USFL players is the possibility of release of USFL players post December 31st. And this is the big one, because all the USFL contracts are in place on December 31st. January 3rd, we're hearing, is when the XFL will have its supplemental draft, where potentially CFL players, USFL players, and NFL players could get picked up. There is not a lot of slots left after the initial draft. So, but some of the names like Brian Scott, Jordan Ta'amu, if you noticed, he was not mentioned when Memphis was moving, but then again, White, their quarterback, played at Memphis, so maybe that's why they're using Devin Ross, are all rumored to maybe trying to transition to the XFL. The USFL could be facing even more players joining the league, but not a ton, because there is not a ton of spots remaining. But Brian Scott is a name that it looks like he's going to be part of the Vegas Vipers. But there are other people, including Luis Perez, on that roster also. So this is going to be a very interesting next couple months. So with 2 spring football leagues, you got Fan Control Football and Indoor Football League trying to solidify itself in the world of all football. The bidding wars for talent is in full swing. We've seen all levels of football. The talent is everywhere, especially with several talented players in the XFL draft pool not selected. For the USFL to survive, it's crucial for them to continue to find talented offensive linemen and quarterbacks, actually for all of these leagues, to ensure fun, safe, effective play for the spring of 2023. Regardless, for the leagues like the XFL and USFL, it seems we fans have got the opportunity to see a bunch of young men living out their dreams, getting paid, playing professional football. And that is the point of a lot of this stuff. It is not USFL versus XFL or any of that kind of stuff. You want to have that division. This is just a great opportunity for players in the USFL and the XFL to get a chance to play professional football. And that's what we really all care about. XFL is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They have yet to announce where the Vegas Vipers are going to be playing. And we are a month away from training camp, and they have not announced where they're playing. The USFL is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and what they've said they've done is slow growth. Also, at the same time, season ticket prices are similar between both leagues. Social media interaction is similar between both leagues. So it's, this is just something kind of wait and see. But definitely January is going to be a very fascinating month for not only all football leagues, especially the USFL. Who is going to be going? Who is coming back? Even after training camp of the XFL season starts in February, there could likely be guys that maybe don't like what they see from the XFL and return to the USFL. We're just going to have to find out. But we do know one thing is that the USFL is not supposed to be having another draft. Teams have been signing players as we speak, and we're just going to have to kind of see how all this plays out. Williams chooses the USFL over the XFL, while some USFL players were drafted in the XFL draft last week. Running back Dexter Williams decided to rejoin the Philadelphia Stars for the 2023 USFL season. The Philadelphia Stars Twitter page announced the news Thursday as they signed Williams and 2 other players, Dexter Williams, defensive tackle Jordan Scott, and defensive tackle Tyler Clark. Williams was drafted by the Arlington Renegades in the 10th round of the XFL draft last week. He was among 17 other former USFL players who the XFL drafted. It is the first time that a USFL player has decided to sign back with the USFL instead of the XFL. The Philadelphia Stars picked up Williams for the USFL title game with injuries to their running back position days before the game. He stepped up and was very productive. He recorded 29 rushing yards and 73 receiving yards in Philadelphia's 33-30 loss to the USFL champion Birmingham Stallions. Notre Dame fans remember Williams as he ran for 1,636 yards and 20 touchdowns in 4 seasons for the Fighting Irish. His best season came in 2018 when he ran for 995 yards and 12 touchdowns. Former 6th-round pick of the NFL. Williams is best known for playing for the Green Bay Packers from 2018 through 2021 and played for the Cleveland Browns in 2021. He ran for 19 yards in 7 games during his NFL career. He most recently rejoined the Packers during training camp this year. Williams will have some tough competition in the backfield for Philadelphia, as he will have to compete with Matthew Colburn, Paul Terry, and Darnell Holland for the starting job. Colburn II was considered one of the best running backs in the USFL, as he ran for 457 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. Terry and Holland each ran for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Philadelphia already's got a stacked backfield. Interesting that he would choose to return to the USFL. Philadelphia knows they have a back in Williams who is versatile and can impact the passing game and the running game. He showed that even with little knowledge of the offense in the title game, he found a way to make plays for the Stars. The USFL should be on notice that the Stars have an extremely deep backfield, and Williams makes them better for it. So interesting. We'll have to kind of see where he stacks. I mean, he did come in just for the championship game and how that's going to, but they, at least the Philadelphia Stars, look like they got an outstanding backfield for the 2023 season. The USFL announces Ryan Jones as new New Orleans Breakers general manager. So he comes in. So the USFL announced that NFL veteran scout Ryan Jones has been hired as the general manager of the New Orleans Breakers. Head coach John DeFilippo, who the USFL selected last month to lead its New Orleans franchise, chose Jones to run the player personnel after interviewing final candidates. The hire comes 5 months after the Breakers' 31-17 playoff loss to the eventual USFL champion Birmingham Stallions. Quote, Ryan Jones is a fantastic talent evaluator and even better person, says DeFilippo. I've known Ryan since 2005, and he was a New York Giants scout, and I was the team's quality control assistant coach. See how these circles just keep running into each other? Ryan earns the trust of everyone around him, and I'm excited to work with him to build a team that delivers a USFL championship to the New Orleans Breakers fans. Prior to joining the USFL, Jones spent 15 years as the area and regional scout for the New York Giants, including being a part of 2 Super Bowl championships. Before his NFL experience, Jones was a graduate assistant coach at the University of Minnesota, went on to coach DBs at the University of New Hampshire, served as head strength and conditioning coach, and recruiting coordinator for the College of Holy Cross. As a college football player, he was captain in all-conference selection in the University of New Hampshire and finished his career with 15 picks. Jones earned a bachelor's degree at the University of New Hampshire and holds a master's degree in administrative science at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So Jones will report directly to their respective coaches. The 8 USFL general managers are Jones at the Breakers, Bill Devaney, New Jersey Generals, Steve Kaiser, Michigan Panthers, Bob Morris, Houston Gamblers, Zach Potter, Birmingham Stallions, Dave Rosano, Memphis Showboats, Michael Woods, Philadelphia Stars, and Lonnie Young, Pittsburgh Maulers. So we have everybody is in place. The coaches are in place. New Orleans Breakers is going to have a whole new look and feel this year between their Sloter leaving, their head coach, and their new general manager. But they actually have a home in Birmingham, Alabama. So we'll see how all this kind of plays out. So the Breakers, basically a brand new team, brand new front office. We'll see how they do in the 2023 season. Former New Jersey Generals Ben Holmes is a CFL Grey Cup champion. So while the Argos and their quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson and Chad Kelly got the majority of press coverage, it's noteworthy to mention about the Toronto Argonauts' designated clipboard holder Ben Holmes. Okay, well, Holmes, who famously had a cameo in United by Football, the Hard Knocks version of the USFL, was released from the team in favor of current Vegas Vipers quarterback and alt-league fixture Luis Perez. While the path to the Grey Cup was less than linear for the current Argonaut, has been traveling all around the CFL as an emergency quarterback. Upon his departure from the Generals, Holmes had seen himself be part of the Alouettes and the Elks before finding his way to Toronto for the final leg of the CFL season. Remember, he also had a nasty injury to his foot that kind of knocked him out as well. The Argos had seen a sudden retirement of Austin Simmons. Ultimately, they decided to stick with Holmes over touted Arizona product Tahil Tate after Tate was signed in July of 2022. Holmes, the D2 alum, has managed to stick around in the CFL despite a less than stellar showing in the spring league and quick exit from the Generals. Holmes may be able to stick around the CFL. One can ask the question, what's next for the former General? Rumors that MBT possibly retiring and the emergence of Chad Kelly during the 109th Grey Cup it is not out of the realm of possibility for Holmes to make a return down south, maybe with an opportunity in the United States. Holmes wants a chance to start, maybe see a field, maybe we'll see. Maybe he'll return back to the USFL, maybe he'll return to the XFL, or maybe he just stays in the Canadian Football League. But whatever, Ben Holmes, who was part of the USFL, went up to Canada and got himself a Grey Cup championship. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to all of the Toronto Argonauts. If you've been watching football on Fox, maybe you've noticed that the Fox has been hyping the 2023 season just like they did in the past, even though ESPN and some of the other carriers are not hyping anything with the XFL. I'm just going to point out. They have not been quiet over the last week. The league announced, of course, we got John DeFilippo. We've got him talking about with the XFL draft coming, all this stuff. Actually, we have a fan that was able to pick up this commercial on Fox talking about the USFL, United by Football. So there you have it, talking about year 2. So the nice thing, the video shows a big TD play from Stallions wide receiver Marlon Williams against the New Orleans Breakers, followed by United by Football, which was their TV show produced by NFL Films. The video ends with USFL year 2. So the USFL is starting to build up of their return for the 2023 season, and they kick off in April, which is very exciting. So it will be, but there is hype going on Fox for the USFL in the 2023 season. This third hub, I have a feeling we'll be getting some news, hopefully, before the end of the year. All right, my friends, we are back. Let's get to your social media stuff, shall we? First up, though, however, I just want to make sure I remind you guys to check out Alt Football on, there it is, Alt Football on Reddit, where we've got CFL, USFL, XFL news, all that good stuff on Alt Football. So join the Alt Football. Just go to Reddit, type in Alt Football. We also have a Discord server as well, just letting you guys know about that. Let's go to some of the comments on YouTube from last week's show. Last month's show. Joel says, glad Memphis Showboats are back. I hope the Tampa Bay Bandits will eventually come back as well as the other teams. My guess is for season 3 of the USFL, we'll head west, and the 4 teams will come back. Will be Oakland Invaders, LA Express, Arizona Wranglers, and Denver Gold. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely, I think you're right. I think we got a season. We got the 3 hubs this year for the USFL. I wonder what happens for year 4, and I think this is going to be really a telltale sign. Ron says, will Los Angeles Express, Oakland Invaders, Oklahoma Outlaws, Arizona Wranglers, Tampa Bay Bandits, some names from the USFL, come back? He wants them to come back. He says also, I'm happy with the Memphis Showboats, but not happy with Tampa Bay Bandits. USFL, will Tampa Bay Bandits ever come back? They had said they had left the door open for the Tampa Bay Bandits coming back. Theodore Kings talks about Markcast reporting the 3 hubs. We kind of went over that they are definitely going to be, Michigan seems to be the place to be. And Julian says, I'm so excited about the Memphis Showboats return, plus the Showboats and Stallions rivalry can happen. This is true, my friend, there. I'm excited about Memphis Showboats. I am torn. Am I a Memphis Showboats guy, or am I a New Orleans Breakers guy? Those are my 2 teams, and I have yet to decide. I have yet to buy the merch. I mean, you're talking about Christmas time is right around the corner. So you think I should go buy some merch for them. But I am torn between those 2 teams. I'm not sure. And I'm excited because I'm leaning towards Memphis because I can actually go there and fly there. It's a lot cheaper to fly to Memphis for me than it is to fly to Birmingham. So heading to Memphis and hanging out and be my team is where I'm kind of leaning towards, because I could potentially get in a game or 2 this summer, which is super excited about. On to the Instagram, Generals for Life, talking about Kyle Slaughter and Luis Perez leave the USFL for the CFL. Time for new and better. So there you got it. He's just kind of like, hey, we moved on. And I agree. I mean, there's plenty of good quarterbacks. I mean, Kyle Slaughter is a good quarterback and one of the better quarterbacks in the league. What is going to happen when there's 4 quarterbacks per team in the XFL? I have a feeling, based on the way the contracts are written for the XFL, it's all 1-year deals. So guys could play in the XFL and quote unquote not play at all, and then get picked up in the USFL. So if you're playing, say, you are Luis Perez or Kyle Slaughter, and you sprain an ankle, and basically you get no playing time in the XFL. And if no NFL team wants you, you could hop to the USFL and play a season there. So don't count these guys out yet. From my understanding is that the XFL contracts are not 2-year deals and doesn't lock you in. They're basically like, hey, you can go wherever you want to make a living, whatever you want. That was my understanding about the contracts. Something to keep in mind there. All right, let's hit the social media stuff. All right. Talking about the hubs, Fourth and Long says, well, I'm not happy about the much larger Tampa Bay Memphis City move. It looks like will allow the league to travel by bus between Birmingham and Memphis, allowing more than double the home games and another local presence. How big? Not sure, as Memphis is small. Detroit over a Philly isn't ideal, but Detroit is a good sized market, at least perhaps is chosen for proximity to Memphis and Birmingham. Yeah, I think, that's, and Philadelphia might be expensive. We've got to remember that some of these leagues, they're looking at the finances and I mean, what kind of deal they're getting between different cities. So it's something to keep in mind. Marvin says, do you think the reason, talking about the Tampa Bay Bandits ending, do you think the reason that it happened because the USFL couldn't find a stadium for the Bandits to play in, and that Memphis makes sense because it has the Liberty Bowl? I believe it makes sense because it's closer to Birmingham. Trying to keep these things close. Bus rides are probably going to, I mean, if it's a 3-hour plane ride or a 3-hour bus ride, what's the difference? So I think being able to bus players back and forth seems to be, it sucks, it's a 3-hour bus ride, but I think that's kind of where the thinking is that they could bus back and forth and save some money that way. Mike says, will there be more city locations coming this season? I don't think there's going to be any new cities. I think that's done now. It's going to be, where is it going to be in Michigan? That's going to be the real key. Jerry says, sounds like the Showboats have a potential owner and founder of FedEx, Fred Smith. If you heard on the press conference that Fred Smith was kind of like, hey, I want a team there. And you take a phone call from Fred Smith, and yeah, he could potentially be a big-time player for the USFL. He could be a huge get, somebody with ridiculous money to be invested in the Memphis area and having the Showboats there. When he calls, you pick up. Having him, Fred Smith, is a huge thing involved in some capacity, especially if he becomes owner of the Memphis Showboats. That could be something huge for the USFL. You're talking about one of the richest men in the country. Football is the most popular sport in the U.S. The NFL will not expand, leaving thriving markets waiting for a team. The NFL is too gritty to realize these markets will succeed. TV and ads, gambling, social media presence are key factors why this league and the XFL will thrive. They have money backing both leagues. Look for a merger in 5 years. The two leagues will pass baseball, basketball, and soccer and rank only behind the NFL. Jerry, I mean, spring football is huge, and it's a huge thing, and it's only growing. As a, so I live in Maryland, and we just got gambling, and being able to pick the games in Maryland, like more than just doing DFS stuff, like actually like who's going to win, who's going to lose. Is this player going to get 3 touchdowns in one game, or are they going to get 1 touchdown a game? Like all that betting stuff, and there's only a fraction of the states allow that kind of gambling. And I have been more interactive with NBA and football games than before. I was watching I think it was the Colts against the Steelers. Now my wife is a Steelers person, and I was all into that game because of that fact, of that betting fact. You're going to have that. Fox has that betting app. Now it opens up for me because now that I live in Maryland, now I can see all the stuff that it actually offers. So Fox is all in, and they know. And having a spring football is going to be huge, and I think that the sky is the limit. And I wouldn't surprise me if some of these leagues become bigger than MLS, or at least some of them. NBA, baseball, maybe not, but definitely could make a run for their money. The question is between the XFL, fan control football, the USFL, indoor football. Like, are people going to be footballed out? That's going to be the question. But at least in the USFL's case, they were not. The ratings were good. He says, Jerry also says, bring back the San Antonio Gunslingers. They won't go there. LA Express, too expensive. Maybe in LA, somebody like Magic Johnson could buy a franchise. It's not a bad idea. And finally, Kent says, first of all, talking about the USFL, the 18 former players drafted to the XFL, he says, I like all your points with the exact correct amount of concern. It should be very concerning to the league, but you did not embellish. The fact only 3 people have signed back with the USFL is disconcerting. What the USFL was going for is experience and drive in the coaching staff, and the fact that there is only so many positions in a new league. That, along with there being a certain amount of NFL Academy, take away from some of those positions. Should be interesting to see where we stand in January. And that's something that I've been saying all along for the USFL. It is not the end of the world. It will be real interesting. December is going to be a huge month. And like I said, January. The question is, are these guys, are they allowed to play in the XFL and then come to the USFL and play? If I'm sitting on the bench and all I've done is practice, I mean, maybe my body needs a rest, but would I hop on there to try to get some? I mean, everybody's trying to make that practice squad in the NFL, whether you're a USFL player or XFL player. And, but the USFL was fun watching it this season. And I think it's only going to grow, especially now that you have Birmingham and you have Memphis and potentially Michigan Panthers somewhere in there. You've got, Jeff Fisher. Hopefully he can field a better team this go round. All right, my friends, if you want to be part of the show, remember, email podcast at USFL News Hub, or you can leave us a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 5, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. As always, we appreciate you guys checking in this month. We are hoping we're setting up a potential great special guest for next month's show. So we're going to be doing it monthly until we get closer to the season and things start to ramp up, and then we'll be doing it weekly, and then potentially we might even be doing it twice a week during the season as they go. So make sure you like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody listening on the MP3s. And as always, thanks for listening. Check out our Discord channel as well as hang out with us on Reddit. We've got fantasy. We did fantasy football last year. News Hub Fantasy. We'll be doing it again this year. So thanks for listening. Mahalo. God bless. And I will see you all later.